I'm Nancy Lieberman, Basketball Hall of Famer, assistant coach of the Sacramento Kings, and I'm part of the silent minority. Tell me what you want
the vocal minority. Yeah.
Vocal minority. Okay,
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm Nancy Lieberman, assistant coach of the Sacramento Kings and Hall of Famer, and I'm part of the silent minority.
Vocal minority.
Vocal. All right, let me do it again. Vocal minority. Okay. Hi, I'm Nancy Lieberman, Hall of Famer and assistant coach for the Sacramento Kings, and I'm part of the vocal minority.
There we go. Love it. Thank you very much.
Previously on the vocal minority.
Are you part of the silent majority, or are you part of the vocal minority?
Let's go. Attention, please.
If America can be saved, and I don't know if it's too late, but it'll be through a radio show like this new kind.
This shit here feels like a whole entire world collapse.
The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers.
It's the vocal minority.
The revolution
Hello.
will be live.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to another episode of the Vocal Minority Report. It's your boy MC. As always, you could have downloaded any podcast in the world, but you're here with us. I appreciate that. For previous episodes of the show, you can go to iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or anywhere you get your podcasts. And make sure you subscribe. You can also listen on our new website, thevocalminorityreport.com. Don't forget to show people you're a part of the Vocal Minority and support the show by copying a t-shirt from our store and filling out our quick anonymous survey under Contribute. Today's episode is brought to you by audible.com. For a free audiobook download and 30-day trial, go to audibletrial.com/vocalreport. That's audibletrial.com/vocalreport. They have over 180,000 titles to choose from, so why not get a free audiobook and support the show? Again, that's audibletrial.com/vocalreport. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, have another great show for you. Got a great guest. She's a homegirl. She's repping the Triple D, one of Dallas's gems. She's a speaker and professor. She's a transparent storyteller who has a passion to be a catalyst for healing, hope, and purpose, amongst other many very positive things. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Dr. Kristen Guillory to the show.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me. And yes, I am a homegirl. What's up? Greetings.
Those are our people, yeah. So no, always very good to. We've been fortunate to have people from all over, but it's always very nice to have like really a homegirl on the show. So thank you for your time today or this evening. It's
Absolutely.
Really a pleasure to have you. There's a lot to talk with you about, but I think what I want to do first is introduce you to our audience, and probably the easiest way to do that is have you talk about you, and just. I think you'll be okay with that.
I sure will.
We can start there, and I just kind of get into who you are, and to be specific, about who Dr. G is, and kind of what moves you and got you to this place, kind of what your personal mission is, and how you've been able to turn your, I would say, passion into a successful consulting firm, and then your community initiatives, of course, like Cozy Convos and Candid Conversations for Men. So I want to spend time getting on those two things specifically, but let's talk about you and kind of who you are. Yeah, let's go from there.
Okay, awesome. So once again, thank you so much for having me on. Who am I? So I'll just kind of start with right now. So I just got out of my Zumba class. So I love to dance, and it's not a regular Zumba. It's kind of ratchet Zumba, but don't judge me, please.
Okay.
But no, I love dance.
Did y'all do like a mannequin challenge?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah. We actually did. I don't know what it was about last week. So last week I did 3 mannequin challenges. So we did one at the Zumba class, and we hosted Cozy Convos at a university. We'll talk about that later. Did a challenge there, and then I hosted a group of Zetas from the University of North Texas at my house, and before they left, Dr. G, we have to do a mannequin challenge. So mannequin was my middle name.
Okay. All right.
And it was fun. So anyway, I from DeSoto, I like to say that I like to do everything under the umbrella of healing, hope, and purpose. But even before that, I am a Christian, and the next favorite title behind that is being an aunt. So I love being an aunt. Like, that gives me life so much, and I am picky to my nephews. Nobody else can call me that, but I'm picky to them.
Okay.
And so I love being an aunt. And so going back to just kind of my personal mission statement and all that stuff, I strive to do everything under the umbrella of healing, hope, and purpose. And what I mean by that is I, for a while, have recognized that there's a lot of hurt in individuals from, just pain and brokenness and emotional trauma that people have gone through. But, our society says that you're supposed to sweep it under the rug. And so we just continue to unintentionally, or hopefully not intentionally, hurt people. And so, but there's also brokenness in families and organizations and institutions. And so I just love to help people heal, also instill hope, and then help to connect that there's purpose in what you're going through. So currently I am the president of Kristen Guillory Enterprises, which is a consulting firm, and we offer professional training opportunities, professional development training opportunities for universities, school districts, and corporations, mainly around the topic of like cultural humility and diversity and self-care. I'm really big on self-care. 4 years ago, I didn't know anything about it. I did not rest. Like, I was one of those people who I went nonstop and didn't really see the value. And now I am like self-care queen because we need it more than we know. And so
I want to make sure we spend time on that because you are the second guest, because we had on the ladies, Shanika and Sam from the Inner Ho Uprising podcast. And and we had on those young ladies, and so it was a heck of the name of the episode is a hoe is a hoe. So, but it was a very enlightened conversation around that topic and that term. But part of what they do every episode is self-care tip of the week, I think, and so anyway, I bring that up because you're the second guest to mention that, and I thought, like I told them, I was being kind of funny. I was like, I thought that was, this is an adult show. I thought that was I was like, that masturbation. I don't know what self-care is. So I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but anyway, so I guess I want to make sure we spend some time on that self-care and how important that is, and really kind of breaking down exactly what that term means, because and maybe our listeners know that I know a lot of them are smarter than me, but that's kind of a new term to me.
Sure, and we can, talk about that right now. So when it went, and actually, me talking about self-care will actually still intertwine with me sharing my story. So my master's and PhD are in social work and, statistics and stuff like that, but social work. And so I have been teaching college courses since I was 24. And what's interesting, so obviously the fact that I was a student for 800 years, along with the fact that I teach and I'm a professor, which means I've seen a lot of different books and mental health books and all that kind of stuff. So here's the thing. If you know anything about social work is a really hard field. It's most of the individuals are underpaid and sometimes underappreciated and overworked, and very seldomly is there anything about self-care mentioned at the beginning of books. So I was actually meeting with some of my students, and I said, tell me which one of your professors talk about self-care. And they said, Dr. G, you're the only one. And the reason I do that is a couple of reasons. One, I never rested back in the day. And two, every semester, so I'll share my age. I don't mind, I'm 36. And so I've been teaching off and on college courses for 12 years. I've taught a lot of students. And so every semester that I have taught, every semester, I have had at least one student on the verge of going to the hospital because they are not even overworked, but they're pushing themselves too far and don't stop, and they haven't stopped. I have one student this semester came in class. I'm teaching a graduate course and at UNT Dallas, and walked in, and I was, oh my goodness, what's going on? We had to talk about it. And she wasn't the only one at another university, just overwhelmed. And we don't think we have permission to breathe and rest. And so when I say self-care, I don't necessarily mean go and take a trip to Jamaica, which Jamaica is my favorite place to visit, no problem. It's Irie. I love it, okay?
All right.
But what I actually have discovered is I require my students to complete a burnout prevention plan at the beginning of the semester.
Okay.
And for most of them, it's actually a burnout intervention plan. But here's what I've been saying.
Right.
We have to actually add in self-care throughout the day. So when people talk about self-care, they'll say things like, you know what, I need to go for a run every day, or I need to go to church once a week, or I need to go get a pedicure once a week. So that's awesome. But what are we doing throughout the day to prevent us from being so overwhelmed that it impacts us in a negative way?
Okay.
And so when I talk about self-care, I mean, what can we do throughout the day? So if that means every hour, you literally take 45 seconds to breathe. Breathing is free. Breathing is powerful. And you will be surprised at the impact of just inhaling and exhale.
Yeah,
and if you're a believer, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You'll notice that I will interrupt a lot on this show, so it's a conversation. I apologize in advance, but but speaking about breathing though, so I've gone and seen a therapist before, and she was talking about, and she taught me it's called 4-2-8, and where you breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, you hold it for 2 seconds. And then you exhale slowly, like you're blowing like a bubble or something for 8 seconds. So 4-2-8, and do that every 20 minutes. And I started doing. I don't do it every 20 minutes, but I try to be deliberate about it. It's when I think about it, and it doesn't. I'm sure it doesn't matter the time or how long you do it, if it's 4-2-8 or it doesn't really matter. But I'm co-signing on, hey, how important that I'm conscious of it now. It does work for me. It does help. It does help in some way, or at least I think it does. I guess you would be able to explain, I guess, more so why it is important and why it helps specifically. But I've tried to incorporate that into my life a little bit.
That's awesome. And let me just commend you for not only going to see a therapist, but admitting that you've gone.
You know what? And honestly, when I was saying that, and I'm like, for the people that will listen to this, I'm like, wait a minute, because I am relatively candid with the audience. I think they know a lot about me, but and I guess that's part of why I wanted to have you on too, though, because the whole stigma of having these candid conversations, pardon the pun, and then admitting that going to talk to someone is okay, or whatever else. So even admitting that, I was a bit anxious as I was saying that. But anyway, so I appreciate you commending me. It makes me feel a little bit better.
No, and so you just gave somebody permission to go and see a therapist. You did, because number one, in our community, and just people of color, not just African Americans, and it could be white people as well. There's a stigma about mental health. So if you are coughing and coughing and coughing, your nose is running and running, you're probably going to take some medicine. You might go see a doctor, and no one's going to say anything about that. Like if you're at work and you're hacking up stuff and coughing,
right.
and folks are like, "Oh Lord,"
right? Yeah, get out of. They will encourage you to go.
Yes.
Go. Yes, right.
Please go to the doctor.
Right.
But if we have experienced some trauma, and trauma is different for every person, and so I'll say maybe we just experienced a loss in our family, and most jobs give you 2 days. I'm sorry, I can't heal in 2 days. And so what happens is if it's a week after the loss of this family member and I'm overwhelmed or upset, either I try to mask it, cover it up, or I go hide. But we feel ashamed to say, I'm not good emotionally. And emotional exhaustion is far worse than physical exhaustion. I'll give you an analogy. Do you like to jog? Do you run at all? Do you do anything like that?
I sometimes ride my bike.
Okay, so let's say you rode your bike for 30 miles. At the end of 30 miles, would you be tired or could you keep going?
Well, I mean, both, right? I mean, I would. I mean, I guess the real answer is both, but I don't know. I would be tired, but I could keep going. So I don't know how to really answer that question. So,
no, you answered it correct. I mean,
Okay.
there's no right or wrong answer. So you would be tired, but maybe you could take a 5-minute break, but you could keep going.
Right.
With emotional exhaustion, we can't do that.
Okay.
We cannot apply the same formula to that, because if I'm emotionally overwhelmed and just exhausted and tired, me sitting down for 5 minutes is probably not going to help me to get over whatever just caused me this emotional exhaustion, because our brain, obviously runs and connects our entire body. And so all that long stuff to say, thank you for admitting and sharing that you've gone to see a therapist, because there are so many people who want to or think about it, but they're afraid or ashamed to say so. And so awesome. So thank you for. Wait, turn it back. I'm interviewing you like it's my show.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. Well, you know what? I thank you for having me on, Dr. G. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that I was able to open up. This is my Oprah moment. But that's real though, because to bring it back to what you were saying about self-care though, but because I mean it's very literal. It's self-care, so taking care of oneself in the most literal way, I guess is what we're talking about here. So getting back on that point, as far as the breathing is what you were speaking of. So the combating the exhaustion and the breathing. All right, so let's take it back there.
Let's go back. So the breathing is one, and the reason that helps is it's a release. It gives you a momentarily release. Something else is for those who pray. I pray to take every hour, take 2 minutes and just pray.
Right.
Or take a moment and just close your eyes and breathe. Or take a moment and listen to your favorite song. Studies have shown that we really can't do the same thing for more than 30 minutes. So that's why, if you're ever in a training and things like that, those who people say are good, I mean, they could be captivating, but it's probably because they have you doing a lot of stuff, like multiple things and moving around, because just sitting at your desk all day, honestly, people who sit at their desks all day might say, you know what, if I really were to add up all the work I do, I probably do about 3 hours of work because we're sitting at our desk.
Right.
And it's not a lot. So anyway, I just believe because burnout impacts us a lot and we're overwhelmed, and I've seen it. And just as a personal story, I was below fumes in 2013. It was the worst I've ever gotten because I didn't stop. After our family experienced a tragedy, and I didn't stop because I'm the fixer. I'm the one who's supposed to solve everything. I'm the oldest in my family, and I couldn't fix it. And I kept going and kept going and kept going, and I wasn't good. I mean, I was broken. And I tried, everybody's different, but I definitely try to share my story at times just as to let people know you're not alone, and then to say, you got to be still. You can't heal. You can't help people if you're broken. You can't pour out to people if you have nothing in you.
Right.
And so you've got to be still. And I didn't. I do now, but I did not. I did not that year.
Okay, so that was 3 years ago, but obviously you've been on this teachings. What got you into? Can you point to what took you to this path? I mean, so you have your master's, your PhD in social work, but the three tenets that are most important to you. Do you know? Can you point to anything maybe in your life that really got you there for the healing, hope, and purpose, or is that just so abstract that it's hard to pinpoint? I'm curious.
Oh no, I can pinpoint it to 3 years ago. So my mission had always had to do with empowerment. Like that was almost that buzzword, empowering,
right.
Empower people, and I helped them discover the power they already have and all that stuff. But 2013 was that year that changed my life, like hands down. I say 2012 was a good year, but it was not a God year. 2012 just was a great year. I was dating a great guy and had a great job, traveled all the time, met a weight loss goal. Just on paper, 2012 was off the chain.
Okay, all right.
In 2013, I experienced in my 30s, I experienced my first breakup, which actually was a good breakup. And apparently that was really weird to a lot of people because they're like, you had a good breakup? What does that look like? And with that being my first relationship, I didn't know, what a breakup felt like. And so although it was a good breakup, nevertheless, it was still a break. And I thought about, wow, if this is what a good breakup feels like, what must a bad one feel like?
Interesting. Hey,
I really
I can tell you that
so if you could, you about to tell me. So what does it feel? I mean, yeah, what does it feel like?
oh my god, oh, I don't know if I can be this real. It feels over 2 years later. I still feel it like now. Like I feel like it feels like it feels like major grief. You know, like you just can't. Like 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 you just like I feel like I'm experiencing major loss over and over again. Like I just can't move on. So personally, that's how my most recent relationship ending is making me feel. Like I just feel like I'm just in this, like I just cannot move on, and I feel like emotionally handicapped regarding this specific relationship. Like I can't give anything new to anyone, or give anything to anyone new, because I can't fully commit because I'm not there. And although I want to be there with someone because I want to fill that void, I think I do. I don't know, but I'm still, my head and my heart are still so wrapped up in this one individual. So it's extremely pain. I mean, it really, like, and you talk about being candid, like this, it's really painful for me. So it's like the worst breakup I've had, and it's amazing that I still can't just separate and move on, or I don't want to, or I can't figure it out. But anyway, so that's one example of a bad breakup. So
Yeah, and so I promise I'm not trying to Oprah you, but I'm so thank you for sharing that. And so let me just
no, hey, you know what, you can't Oprah me, because that's what this this show, if
okay.
this show is a show that we touch on everything, and so I mean from social justice to race, we cover everything, and if we can't be intimate and open up, then and provide value, because we're hitting the half an hour mark, and folks, we got to give them something to engage. But no, really though. So this might be cathartic for me, and like you said, it might help somebody else. So yeah, do your thing. Let's
Okay.
ask away.
So I do want to just thank you on behalf of ladies who, when you said that you're just not in a place to give somebody what it is that you want to give them, because you know that you're still hurting or you still need to heal. And that is, I do think that's something that's really big with men and women. Like the guy I dated was a great guy, but he hadn't healed. And I'm not putting any of the blame on him by any means. I'm accepting some myself, but he hadn't healed. He was not in a place. Like when we were breaking up, I asked him, I said, so did you know when you started to pursue me that you weren't ready, but you didn't want to pass up on something so amazing?
Right.
And he said, yeah, he was like, I tried to convince myself, but he hadn't even started the healing process. Like I knew he hadn't, and
you knew he hadn't started the healing process, but you knew at what point? Like, so you knew that upon reflection when the relationship ended, or you knew that throughout the course of the relationship, as he was able to overlook things, you were able to overlook that? When did you know that?
So I didn't know that in the beginning. I didn't know that he hadn't started healing probably until let me think, probably until the last 3 months. So we knew each other a year. We were quote unquote officially a couple for 6 months. So I'll say the last 3 months or so, I remember thinking, you have not started healing. Prior to that, I remember thinking, okay, he does need to heal a little bit more, but I didn't realize he hadn't fully started. And so if you're going to be honest, I'm going to be honest. So what I did, as I'm sure I'm going to use the I statement. I'm not going to say, as I'm sure others do, I statement, what I did.
Okay.
Right. Let me just talk for me.
Own it, girl.
I'm owning it. So what I did was, I was like, you know what, Lord, maybe you have me in his life so he can meet this amazing woman who thinks he's valuable. And I, in some ways,
hey, that's important. Value. I'm glad you said that. Keep going, but that's important.
And
yes.
I did. And it's not that I was so. And I promise I'm tying this back. When we were breaking up, I did say, now when we were dating, did I Dr. G you? And he said, no. He said, you didn't. He was like, you only did if I asked you to. Because I wanted to make sure, like, you're dating Kristen and don't worry about me trying to counsel you every time we get together. And, but I just remember just thinking, okay, because he felt so devalued and undervalued in the previous relationship, and he's meeting someone that he never thought, like he would say all the time, man, I never, like, what? When are you going to wake up from the potion and realize, what? You're much better than me, all that kind of stuff. But I was thinking, well, Lord, maybe you're going to use me to help him heal. And at the end, after we broke up, of course, I realized that's not my place. That's not my place to be the source of healing. I can't be that. And so I think I was putting myself on a pedestal while he actually put me on a pedestal as well. Like, he told me that. He said, I know this isn't fair to you, but I sometimes look at you as perfect. And I was like, whoa, please don't do that. Whoa, I am not. But it was all of the stuff intertwined because he hadn't started healing. He had a daughter, and she was younger, and his daughter was just going through stuff. Because, he was married. So divorce is like a death. Right. Like, divorce is hard on everybody involved. Right. And I remember him saying, my daughter's having a difficult time. And I said, so you're 30-something, and you can't even fully understand what's going on. Your daughter definitely can't. And so he would have feelings from time to time, like, what? I don't understand. Like, I'm angry, and I'm not. And he made a statement one day. He said, when I'm with you, I'm not angry at all, and it's amazing, and I love it. But as soon as I, head home, I get angry again. And I remember saying, I can't be your source of joy only. Right, because there'll be times where I'm not there for an extended period of time. And so I think it was both of us, like me assuming I'm this source of healing and him thinking, well, she's so awesome, I probably don't need to address this. And when we were breaking up, I did say, please, please don't go and do life alone. Please let somebody walk with you. He was like, my mom thinks I should go to counseling. I said, yeah, I do too. You do? I said, I do. I do. You don't get in a relationship or you don't get married for it to end. Right? Like, you don't enter something thinking it's going to end, and when it does, it hurts. And for you to say that, it's been 2 years and you still can't, that's totally normal. And, I've shared this just the other day. I said there were times I would drive and pass exits, and I'm like, because the exit would have his name. I don't want to drive on this road. And
oh my gosh.
What was interesting was I was like,
I have stories that are worse than that, by the way, but go ahead.
Wait, you said what?
I said I have stories that are worse than that, but go ahead.
Give me one.
I have to turn the radio off. Like, there could be a song. No, man. Whew, this is embarrassing. So, we have the old school R&B old school hip hop station 94.5. We have here now, yeah. And I'll hear a song and I'll be like, you know what? Man, I bet she liked that song. I bet she used to dance. We used to, and I have to turn off, and it'll be like a jam of mine, but I have to turn it off because it makes me think of. It makes me think of her. It's not even like connected like fully to her. Not even like a name thing. It's just a, like, hey, I bet she. Does that make any sense? Like, it's just like it's just it's a vibe thing. Like, I don't want to be vibing on something that it's just a.
Yes, that makes sense. So. There's no need to be embarrassed by that. I mean, it could be, I'm trying to think. There was, what was it? American Idol. And one of the contestants' name was his daughter's name. And every time I would hear that name, I would get sad. Because something I didn't know about and people didn't talk about was missing the family. Yeah, I'm like, right. I knew I was going to miss him. I'm like, oh, this is whack. I don't get to see them anymore. So let me ask you, what have you, what intentional steps have you taken to begin grieving the relationship and or healing from the hurt?
Other than trying to thrust myself into new relationships, I'm not sure. I've tried to. I've certainly I've tried to get a hold of the anger and resentment, and I try to take a lot of ownership, I guess, to fully acknowledge that, I'm responsible for these things, and nothing terrible. So if any ladies out there are listening, I'm not crazy. I'm nothing. I have references, okay, nothing that bad. No, but no, but no, but I guess really just trying to take some ownership of, okay, like, I was this way. I did say this thing. I did act this way. I didn't fully acknowledge, 5 years ago when she was talking about love languages, I maybe should have paid attention to that. Or maybe I should have taken it seriously, because now as I listen and read, I'm like, okay, these things do make sense. I get those things. And that may be one trivial thing, but I think just trying to be more prepared and taking ownership so I can advance. So, other than that though, I don't know. Nothing too intentional other than just trying to get that ownership. But I'm trying hard to hold on too. So I'm clinging a little bit as well. So it's.
So is there any chance of y'all getting back together?
It's easier to say no because I think she's left I think it's easier just to say no because I've been trying and trying is relative, obviously, but she, I think if she was in this room, she would say that, oh no, there's a chance, or oh no, but her actions or lack thereof are completely counter to that, if you know what I mean, or not if you know what I mean, but you know what I mean. So
yeah.
So I would say it's not very likely. We do have a child together, so that could do something, but I don't think it's very likely, which is the worst part of it, because knowing it's not likely, knowing that it's not that serious to her, and I still can't get away from this, like that is a miserable place to be relative to the relationship exclusively. You know what I mean? Like it's a terrible place to be for me.
Oh, I cannot imagine, because I was about to ask you, are y'all still in contact? You have to be, because you have a child. And I know that's difficult. I know that is difficult because you do have to communicate with her. So have you had the talk? Like, have you said explicitly, I still would like a relationship with you? What do you think, or what do you say? And you said that she would say, no, there's a chance, but you think that she's just saying that in words, but doesn't really mean it?
I don't know. I can only judge, you can only judge someone's actions, and I would say that the actions are counter to that, so I have to take her at her word and trust her that she means it. But as she would tell me, or, as most reasonable people would say, well, but your actions aren't backing up what it is you say. So, it clearly it's not there. So yeah. So, but no, I've laid my cards on the table. I think I've been as transparent as possible. And she has too. It's not like, she's been pretty candid as well, but but the door hasn't been completely closed now, but she has also told me, it's, hey, like, she's not holding me back. So if I need to move on, then move on, because she can't guarantee me or give me anything more than what she's giving me now, which is very little in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion. So, I don't know. And I'm not some sad person, just or whatever, like, oh my gosh, what was me? But at the same time though, it just does weigh heavy when, like I said, more so because I'd like to be in something happy and healthy, and if it's not with her, cool, but man, I got to break these ties so I can, be with another awesome woman. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I need that in my life. So, but I also want to make sure that it's not some odd codependent or just trying to fill some void thing. And I think that's important too. But being alone, you said, people who listen to the show, they know I'm 34. I'll be 35 next year or whatever. So I have children, I've been married, I'd much rather have a wife and a family together than this alternative, which is not bad. But so that's just where I'm coming from, and it's hard to separate her from that want versus, you know what I mean? It's hard to separate, the two, because I want both, but perhaps they are mutually exclusive. Anyway, so I don't know if any of that makes sense there. So.
No, it absolutely did, and it almost sounds like. Do you feel like you're kind of in a? It's probably not the right word, but kind of like in a limbo area.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a good, that's a good word. Yeah, I mean, just 'cause, it's one foot out. Like, I mean, like, my life is, I'm good. I'm thriving actually in every other area. I think a lot of it is because of that. I'm able to thrive in other areas because, my focus and attention and effort and whatever drive is probably heightened or fueled by something in relation to that. But in that one specific area, which obviously is important, the relationship area, that emotional area, it's heavy down there. So, but anyway, so yeah.
No, that's real. And another question: do you believe that the Lord has said she is wife, or has cleared you to pursue her as wife?
Well, yes, because I mean, that's,
okay.
And I think that might be the most frustrating part, because I'm like, I know, I'm ready, like, I got it, like, oh man, like, I okay, like, like, I'm there, but again, I will say that even saying that statement there, I don't know if some of that is clouded just because I am, for lack of a better term, lonely. So I think I have to, answering your question, I have to consider that as well.
And so even though, you mentioned that this place is not horrible, but it's not where you want to be, you're still able to see clearly and kind of think like, well, is it because I'm lonely? And my encouragement, it's not going to be anything that you haven't heard before. Like, on one end, I'm almost hearing or thinking, is there a need for another conversation? Because that limbo place is not comfortable, it's not fun, and then it's like, I can't move because you kind of said maybe, but let me not pursue this person over here. But if it truly is a no, let me know. And then, or just, okay, Lord, I believe you said that she was the person for me to pursue, but she is not reciprocating. What should I do? Is it healing? Do you limit communication, with her just to talk about your daughter? Because I know if you ever talk about anything like that, that leaves the door open to inch back into some other territory, which then goes to some other areas and it gets snowballed. So the main thing that I'm trying to get at, I guess, with talking to you and hearing from you is what's going to help you heal a little bit more. So whether it's have another conversation, continue praying, of course, or limit some type of conversation and I believe in heart protection. Actually, I have an article I wrote called Dr. G's After Breakup Tips, and all the tips on there are like easy to say, but they're kind of hard, but they're all about heart protection. And I believe, definitely want her heart protected and want your heart protected as well, because I know you don't want to unintentionally hurt a woman you date next, because I really want to date someone, and that does happen. And so,
what? Yes, it does happen, and maybe somebody listening is going to feel some type of way when they hear this. So yeah, no, that's what I feel. So I feel I'm guilty of of not being the best guy in that regard, but at least I know that, and I was able to let it go. So
yeah, at least you know that. At least you own it, because there's no shame with anything that you're talking about. Like, you shouldn't feel like, even when you hear a song, there's no embarrassment. That's life. Like, you had an enmeshment with this woman, right? You cared for her, you loved her, you have a child. So essentially, you haven't been able to detox from her because you still are in communication with her.
Oh, that's a good word, detox. Yeah, because that's a good word. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right? Like, she's still in your system because you've not been able to detox from her. So in a way, that's why you still feel the way you feel, because you haven't been able to have a clear like separation, because it's like the person who, I don't want to drink anymore. I got to get out of my system, but I can't because I drink 3 glasses of wine a day. It's not
Right.
what I used to drink, but I still, and so I think that's part of it. And that's the hard part of a breakup, when there is a child, as well as, but I really think that we should be together. And so are there any things that you think could help you with some boundaries? Like, is there any way to say, you know what, we'll limit our conversation, we'll do, get pictures out of your phone, if you have pictures in your phone of y'all together or her, delete all text messages if you still have those, like, do you still have any of that stuff?
Yeah, no, I'm not that bad. So no,
Okay.
I'm not that bad. No, and I've just done that just because that was part of my process a long time ago, to be like, yeah, no, like, and as far as boundaries go, I'm the one that crosses the boundaries. So it's not like,
Okay.
so it's not her. Like I'm a habitual boundary, crosser. So yeah, and not that she's set up any boundaries necessarily. It's all me, they're self-imposed boundaries that
Sure.
that I continue to cross. So yeah, no, I mean, like, I think that's the biggest thing too, is that I think her point has been made very clear. Now, obviously, I mean, there's some wishy-washy and some feelings and some reciprocation on certain things, but I think I think I'm the one that is I just don't want to break off yet. And if there's a slight chance, if there's a 10% chance, I'm a pretty determined person, and it's in every aspect of my life. So you're telling me there's a chance, I'm going to try to maximize on that and exceed. And I think that plays a lot of it into it too. The boundary question, though, that's very hard to do. And even because it's not continual, like, I'll go, days without, our communication is limited to what we need to do about our daughter and keep it moving. And then I'll see her and I'll get sad, or I'll think about something, and then it'll be like, oh shit. Then I'm back in that mode of, then I'm crossing boundaries that I've set at that point, because, so it's not an everyday thing. It's not an every hour thing, or whatever, or it's just a matter, so yeah, I continually cross those because, I just feel some type of way at certain moments, but I'm doing that. I wouldn't say that she's necessarily guilty of that. Again, maybe just in response to me, but most of it is me.
Okay, no, that's real. Who's walking this journey with you? Like, who's a friend of yours who will be, lovingly real with you and say, okay, no, I don't think you should do that. You have to try that out. Like, I'm sure you do, but do you have that person specifically, like, around relationship stuff? Who's that voice for you?
Dr. G. No, no, I really don't have anyone. I'm not I don't know. So I don't have a specific person. I mean, certain aspects I'll share with, my brother or a friend of mine. There's a couple people I share with, my brother, my boy. But yeah, and I go relatively in depth at certain times, but with the kind of pain I feel all the time, it's hard. We be talking on the phone. No, I'm just kidding. But no, but yeah. So them. But again, I don't know that they fully know the depth, but they know as much as anybody. But they're. But when when there's nothing that you can really put your hand on, you can't really. I can't change her mind. They can't change her, because that's what we're talking about here. See that, and it really has, at this point, it really has little to do with me at this point. It's about my acceptance and me being able to move on, in my opinion, because it really has nothing to do with me. It's all about her and her decision making and whatever else. So yeah. So when I talk to them, it's just any advice anyone would give me or counsel, it's. Yeah, most people would say, "Oh man, you should just get back with her." Well, no shit. I mean, like, like I know that, like, well, thank you very much, but that clearly is not on the horizon or does not work. So anyway, I don't even know if that was what you were asking me, but yeah,
No,
I talked to a couple people
absolutely.
about some of it.
And so I don't. So obviously, I don't know which one of those like folks you mentioned might be it. But I would encourage you to consider. I can't tell you what to do, but consider telling one of the folks you just mentioned a little bit more of your feelings. And I don't mean like, hey, let me tell you all this, but let them know. So I need to be real with you. I experience some pain on a pretty regular basis over this, and I probably need to just do a phone check-in with you once a week, so I can kind of bounce my thoughts off of you, and you let me know what they sound like. Because when we're left alone with our thoughts, like, our thoughts are amazing and horrible and beautiful all in one. And when we hold them in, they manifest into something much bigger, honestly. And not that they even need to give you advice, but I feel like just a sounding board where you can really just say, you know what, today sucked. And here's why. This song came on and it reminded me, and I'm not in a good place right now. So let me talk, and maybe they'll come out and encourage you with something or just to get it out. So I do want to encourage you to consider asking one person to kind of walk with you in this journey, like giving them permission to really like check in, like, hey, bro, do you really need to talk right now? And being that person, because as you're sharing, and I will say this, and this is not to make you feel better, but there are so many men, my heart for helping men. There are so
Right.
many men who are right there with you. So many. And I remember meeting with some guys I served with a couple years ago, and this one gentleman was sharing about a woman he dated, but then he was talking about his ex, and they were together 7 years and had broken up 2 years ago, or 2 years prior. And as he's talking about all these things, I looked at him and I just said, I don't think you're over your ex. And then, conversation kept going, and about 20 minutes later, he tapped my shoulder and he said, oh my gosh, Doc, oh Lord, you're right. I'm not. And I think we look at time, like we assume that time is going to heal wounds, and it's not time. Time does not heal wounds. It's what you do with it. And then some wounds will never fully heal. And like, I have a client right now who never began grieving a family member who passed away a year and a half ago. Like, she thought, I should be over this. And we discovered you never began grieving that loved one. And so I'm not telling you to grieve the relationship, but honestly, in a way you might need to, because if y'all do get back together, well, let me not say back, if y'all do get together again, I'm quite sure after 2 years, in some way, y'all are a little different. I'm just in thinking 2 years.
Of course, right. Of
probably
course.
a little different. And so if there's any way, and it may be a little painful, but you probably do need to grieve the relationship.
Well,
because what y'all were, no, but is there a chance for something else? Like you said, that's in her court.
Right. So, and well, let's talk about what does grieving the relationship look like?
So in a nutshell, it looks like, so it's not fun. It looks like all the simple ways that we once communicated, it's now very limited. So, for example, all social media, there needs to be no social media interaction at all. So all that everybody should be unfriended. We don't need to be on it. If there even needs to be a statement. I walked somebody through it one time, and she messaged her ex and said, please stop, would you please? And she was very respectful about it, and she was very hurt over the breakup, and she just said, would you please stop liking my pictures? Because and I know what that's like. When you see the like, oh my God, that heart, and it's about heart protection. So one would be all social media, you should no longer be communicating via social media. The other would be limiting communication, no communication if there are no children involved, or you work together, but very limited communication when you're, like you said, when you talk about your children, and that's it. The other is deleting the text messages, deleting the pictures. Also, I encourage folks, don't date anybody for about, and this is kind of right after the breakup, but still don't date anyone for a minimum of 90 days. And I'm not a big proponent of 60 days this and 90 days that. It's just kind of a rule.
Okay.
Because somebody honestly could break up and you are ready to date in 3 weeks. You could.
Right.
But generally, that's not the case if there were any type of feelings involved in the relationship. So it's one, don't date. Just don't date. Get somebody to walk with you on the journey. Pray. Be in prayer. And then if there's just anything symbolic that you need to put up, there's nothing wrong with that. Like if there's anything that when you see it, that I'm a little connected to that, I probably need to put it up. So like for me, I wasn't really connected to stuff, but I did need to rid of pictures. He bought me some tennis shoes. I wasn't really connected to the tennis shoes, so I still wore them, but then I stopped wearing them because I'm like, if I see him out in public and he sees me in these shoes, no, not doing that. And so,
oh my gosh, okay.
And then it was just being honest, so I had family members and friends who knew I was hurting more than I let it be known or that I admitted. And so they would come over and, hey, let's go somewhere. Let's take you somewhere. But it definitely, I was like, okay, by June, I'll be ready to go on some dates. June came. I'm not ready. I don't want to go out.
Right.
And it literally is just, from not just for me, but for others, it's owning those feelings that you're having. Okay, you know what? Today I thought about him. That it was kind of whack. Let me be honest with it. Okay, let's keep it moving. Or if he pops up in my mind, say a quick prayer for him. Or I've actually spoken into like the recorder in my phone. Okay, I don't know why he's on my mind right now, but let me just get this out.
Right,
I
okay.
want to say it, and so it looks different for other people, but what I do believe is holding it in and never talking about it does not help. I do know that. I had a student who said, Dr. G, I broke up with my ex 3 years ago, but I still think about him all the time. Is something wrong with me? I said, no. Not at all. And my questions were, do y'all still talk? She said, yes. I said, was sex involved? Yes. Of course you're not over him. Y'all were connected on multiple levels. I mean, let's just be real.
Right.
No. And I'm so sorry for the pain that is involved in it. But so those are just a couple things. But it's not do all these things in 30 days you're good. Nope. Nah.
Right. Yeah. No.
No.
Okay.
It's just being real. And so. So I think for you, honestly, what I'm hearing, I think it would be, like I said, great if there was that one person that you could just once a week, every other week, and let me just share this whackness. But here's what I'm learning the other thing is so let me ask you this. I like this question. What did you learn about you from the relationship?
Ooh, wait a minute. That might be a little too intimate for this conversation.
Okay. Never mind. No.
That might be a little too. That might be a little too candid. But I'm.
Okay.
The easiest way to say that is that and well, actually, you know what? I mean, really, there weren't any revelations from that. I mean, I'm not the easiest person to get along with. I don't have a terrible amount of patience. I think those things manifest, and I should say, when I say easiest person to get along with, I think my lack of patience and my dryness necessarily, I think so. I just think those things can manifest themselves different ways, but I think though the biggest, some of it is maturity. When you start a relationship and you're mid 20s, and then you then extend into your early to mid 30s, things certainly change. And so I just, the reflection on me personally and some of the things that, hey, I could fix these little quirks about my personality, and not necessarily fix, but tweak, and not to make myself more attractive to her, but to be a better person overall, because So just little things like that, nothing, I don't know if there's anything real earth shattering, but I think, just the reflection of my level of patience and understanding. And then, I think one thing that's real important too, I could have just been more involved in certain areas and, going to the store really isn't that big of a deal, or doing this one, the little things that I was selfish in certain areas that I didn't necessarily have to be in. And looking back on it, I don't even know why. Like I can't fit, like this doesn't really make any sense. Like I could have just done that, or whatever. Those little things that I think will make me better for whomever. Because I know it sounds like I'm just pining away from her, but I'm also am hell bent on just being much better in the future, and because it could be that I'm going to be by myself for a while, or I'm dating casually, or I'm polyamorous, or whatever. Who knows? You know what I mean? Or I meet someone magical, but I've learned these certain things and am better and won't make whatever mistakes. So, but yeah, just little small things. I think little personality quirks that I can work on. Being more open to, like I said, this conversation. I'm still, as we talk, I'm still wondering, like, man, am I going to edit this down? Like, am I going to let people hear all of this? But yeah, I can be more open and more honest more quickly, I think, is something that I've learned as well. So, yeah.
That's great. And something that you have not said, which I would give you a high five if you were in my face. Like, what's up?
Okay.
You have not put any, which I think is really admirable. You've not put any of the blame or responsibility on her. You did responsibility on her was, hey, falls in her court as far as possibly getting back together. But what I mean by that is you've not said she did and she did. And I really commend you for that, because it's not like that they're, you're both human, and so I'm sure there may be some things on her end. Maybe it was more on your end, whatever it is, but you've not put any of, at least during this call, on her. And I think that's admirable. I think that's healthy, because you can't change her. You even said that you cannot make her do anything, but you can work on you and recognize you.
Right.
And
yeah.
I think that's great.
Well, yeah, because ultimately, like, it's not. I mean, because obviously she has her quirks and things that are annoying or whatever. But ultimately, like, I think what I've realized is that that's not why we're not together necessarily. Like, so
right.
those things are like, she put up with my stuff, I put up with her stuff, and I would, a lot of those things I would. Like, whatever, it's not that, so no, it definitely is not, that's one thing in these 2 years or whatever. Yeah, it's definitely not about her. It is all about me. I made choices, decisions, and I have to be better, because, perhaps if I was a better partner, then, maybe we still would be together. I would have felt differently, or vice versa. So yeah, no, accountability and ownership and being responsible for one's own actions is what I've been trying to do for, I guess, years now. But I'm only responsible for my emotions, not her. If I'm angry, it's because of me. Like, she's not. People do things to make you mad or piss you off, but how you react to those is completely in your control. And so I try to own that as much as I can by, like I said, just owning all of it, because it's not gonna matter, like, I can't project my stuff onto her, because it's not, because that projection is what gets people in trouble, in my opinion. That's so
yeah.
But
no, definitely.
yeah. So
how long were y'all together? Because you mentioned mid-20s into 30s. So were you how many years?
7, I guess, six or seven, something like that. Yeah,
6 or 7.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this statement's not gonna make you feel any better, but so of course you're not fully over her and everything, with the combination of you still do want to be with her. You have a child, and y'all were together 6 or 7 years, and that's a long time. And so, like I said, I do want to reiterate: there's no shame in you feeling however you feel. There's no need to be embarrassed, because you are just giving a voice to what a lot of people go through and feel. We just don't talk about it. And because, like I said, I experienced my first breakup in my 30s, and in your 30s you're a little bit more vocal. I'm like, so y'all go through this pain and don't say nothing.
right.
Like, really, that was me. I'm like, really? I mean, so I remember going to a restaurant with some friends, and it was the place where we had our first date, and I went in the restroom, and I just had to take a moment, because I got overwhelmed. And I told my friend, I said, so this was where we had our first date. I'm a little emotional. And she said, girl, do we need to leave? I said, no, I just need to take a second, and then I'll come out. I'll be good. But I needed to tell somebody. Like I needed to get it out and let her know why I went ghost for a minute and kept leaving, and just those things. Like, ooh, there's that song. I don't want to listen to that again. Or like a Miguel song that I really like. I could listen to it for a while because that's a song we listen to. Like, can it be something else?
Right, right.
But I think one thing is what I learned when I was trying to rush the healing. Like, okay, by June I'll be ready. And then when I was like, you know what? Let me quit trying to rush this. Let me just quit trying and let me be real and say that, yes, I'm about to pass this exit that has his name in it. And if it makes me think about him for a second, that is what it is. I'm still healing. And it did. So probably I probably had that realization maybe 3 months after the breakup, because I was like, well, we were just together 6 months. We kept a PG-6. We didn't do anything. I should be okay. Oh, Lord, emotional connection is a beast too. Oh.
Okay. All right.
Okie dokie. And so I think that you really are giving permission for people to feel what they feel. But here's the thing. Then what do you do with those feelings? And I do hope that you don't date too soon, or go date somebody and like, you know what? I need to date somebody because I feel lonely and I don't like these feelings. That's not the reason to date. Because.
But what if she looks really good though?
Then take a picture. And I feel strongly about that, not only as someone who, as awesome as this man was, and he still is, he did date me too soon. And as much as he, didn't want to hurt me, I was unintentionally hurt. And the thing is, he thought, he was like, I said, no, I don't blame you at all, because I said yes. And I continued saying yes, knowing that you might need some healing. So there was no blame. Like, he came to a memorial service after we broke up, and he was thinking, oh my gosh, your family. I said, you don't understand. I have not said anything negative about you. I still think you're awesome. I still think you're awesome. He was like, wow, your family was still so loving. I'm like, what do you think I'm telling them about you? You're still cool. And so I think it's for the sake of playing with hearts, and you're not trying to play with hearts, but it is somebody's heart. And if you're not, I don't know if any of us are ever fully ready, but if I do not need to be dating right now, then you don't need to. And I'm not necessarily just talking to you, but just we don't need to.
Oh yeah, because this whole conversation is not about me. This is an elaborate playlet. So yeah, this is not. Yeah, this is not. So the audience knows that I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about my friend. Yeah. So yeah, no, this is this is not. We're not talking about me, of course.
No, we're not.
Yeah,
no.
Right, that other guy, but we're talking about you and your. But you're right though. So I with that though, and I think that that might be the longest setup ever on this show. But I think all those things are extremely important though. So for the honesty and of these conversations, and it's because that leads us to again what you do. And so you mentioned a minute ago talking about, do people experience these breakups and like this and not talk about it? You mentioned you're publicly there. So is that where the cozy convos, and is what that was born out of at that time, or was that already in existence before then? And what is, as I move us forward and get off of my get off of my thing, and let's talk about you and how you talk to all these other people about what they're going through, and not necessarily just what they're going through, but you've created a space for these conversations to go deeper and to be transparent, right? So what was that born out of? I guess initially with the women, and then we'll shift over and talk about the conversations you have with men, and then I want to get into some parallels there, and so all still keeping with the same conversation we're having, talking about being open and honest and really talking about these feelings.
Yeah. So, and again, thank you so much for sharing what you did, because you're sharing your feelings right now where you are in this moment. And that's a powerful
I just saw it 15 minutes before we started recording, you know what I mean? So I'm like, my heart is heavy. Oh my God. So, had we recorded tomorrow, this conversation would have gone probably a completely different place, and that's funny because had we recorded earlier in the day or recorded at a different time, this conversation would have gone deep, but I doubt it would have gone this deep. So that's interesting. But so yeah.
So there are no accidents, and my friends would be like, "Yeah, tell them we're not surprised." They would say that, like, "Yeah, tell them we knew it." Like, hush, y'all. But no, but really, thank you for being willing to share, because it's like me. I'm sharing from this is how I felt, like a past perspective. I don't know if I would have been able to be as vulnerable and bold and transparent as you when I was in it. I don't know. And so thank you for sharing your truth and your heart right now. And so Cozy Convos is an initiative for women, and it initially started just from my heart and seeing women just needing connection and that we don't do life together. And it was originally for single women because I was noticing how unhappy women were and are being single. And I definitely believe that single is not JV and marriage is varsity. I believe both are varsity. I believe single is a blessing, and I believe marriage is a blessing. And just an atmosphere for women to come and really, really just share and not wear masks and say, "Oh, I'm really not doing so well, y'all." And so it started like that, and then it morphed into serving all women. So we now serve all women. And I want to say a slight shift change, because we launched fully publicly in October of 2013. I was hosting in my home in 2012. So 2013 I mentioned. So I had the breakup early that year, and it made me a lot more empathetic just towards breakups. I'm like, "Ooh, this is not fun. What is this life?" And then about 3 weeks later, the loss in my family that I mentioned, that happened, and my 1-year-old nephew passed away, which was hands down the most devastating thing we've ever gone through. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, my sister, how do I help my sister? I fixed everything. I can't fix this."
Oh wow.
And I was devastated.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Yeah, that's a whole nother. Obviously, I mean, that's real. That's, I shouldn't say real grief, because relationship ending is real grief. But I mean, to couple that with other things, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
And it was, and I think that because I was like, okay, I still am grieving the relationship, but this other grief is much worse. But, for grief is grief. And so I also swept my grief under the rug because I didn't think I had, like, the right to grieve because it wasn't my child.
Right.
Like, that was the thinking I had.
Oh, wow,
but
okay.
You learn a loss is loss. Like, what? Loss? That was my nephew. As I mentioned, my nephews are my life. So going through that really is what launched the change a little bit with Cozy Convos, because I was walking through a phrase. Actually, my book is going to be titled "Walking Through the Fog."
Okay.
And it's like you're walking, but you don't really see the next step you're taking, but you know the Lord is holding your hand. And just the year was hard. And in the hardest year I've ever experienced, I saw the Lord in ways I've never seen Him. And so we launched it, and then it was just like, you know what, ladies, let me be transparent. I was rarely really transparent as a speaker. Like, as a speaker, I'm going to encourage you, motivate you, boom, let's get it. But to share me, like what you just did, to share my heart, I rarely did that. And then when you go through stuff like that, you have no choice but to. And so I just started sharing me. And I cried in front of the ladies, and that launched kind of the new thing of we just need connection and to share. And so a foundation of Cozy Convos is like, if you were to ask me, what do you do? Like, it's really simple. I ask the women to, we dance and have fun, but I also ask them to go meet somebody in the room they don't know, and they partner up with them, and I walk them through a conversation. Like, the question I always ask, or generally ask, is if you had to give your life a title for what it is right now, what would it be and why? And they share that while their partner is just listening. Because very often when we talk, it's like double dutch. We don't really have a conversation.
Right.
It was a double dutch. And so I'm like, no, just ask clarifying questions. And you would be so amazed at the power of being heard. Like, just, okay, ladies, now summarize what you heard your partner say. Okay, talkers, how did that make you feel? And just, oh my gosh, I was heard. I don't ever feel heard. And then the next part is give some compliments. And so it's just powerful connection and vulnerability and transparency. And we've posted about 10 events, and a lot of women come and say, I've never been to anything like this. Like, I've never been to an event where we're not judging each other. And my events are not the only one, right, where women don't judge each other. But
right, of course.
So let me not make that disclaimer. We're not the only
But
ones.
but only you're on the show right now, so we're talking about you right now. So go ahead, yes.
Boom, there it is.
Right,
I sure am.
exactly.
And so I hear that statement all the time. I've never experienced anything like this, or I've never shared what I shared. And whether it's a group of 20 or the event that I hosted at Abilene Christian University last Friday with about 120 students, it's the same everywhere. So whether it's 20 African American women, or, ACU is predominantly white students and the average age is probably 20, it doesn't matter. The reaction is the same. And so the things that I have been privileged to see and the things that have happened are nothing just short of the Lord doing amazing things, because freedom happens, healing begins, and it's quite powerful. Like, folks who know me are like, do you recognize what goes on in these events? And I said, I don't think I fully do, because I'm up here just kind of facilitating. They're like, do you understand people are set free? But it's just the power of connection and being heard. It's amazing. And you mentioned the event for men that we host called Candid Conversations. We just launched, which literally we do the exact same thing for men. And guess what? The men are impacted the same. Well, no one's the same, but are impacted just as much.
Right.
So I'll share an awesome story from our last event, and we just launched it, October of 2016. We just launched it.
Yeah, I hate that I missed. I was out of town, but I hate that I missed that one. You were gracious and invited me, and I hate that I missed that. But I definitely want to make sure I attend one for sure.
So the next one you are invited to is January 28th.
Okay, all right.
And
we'll make sure we get that word out too. So okay, cool, all right.
You need to come to it, and I'll share this quick story, and I'll be done with this. But
oh no, yeah, because I want to ask you some questions, some offshoots about that. So do your thing.
Cool. So same thing, the partner activity. If you had to give your life a title, I'm doing the same thing. If somebody said, "Did you have the men dancing?" I did. They said, "Did you have the men hugging?" I did. And
I ain't hugging no dude. I don't know. I'll dance, but I ain't hugging no dude though.
I'll say this: come to an event.
Oh, I'm kidding. I give a fist bump though. You know what I mean. I'm good.
You know what? Because even some of the men who are my champions, I have a team of 12 men who are the candid champions, just to kind of help me out and be small group facilitators, give me guidance at times. Even once in a men need to feel safe in order to talk, and this needs to happen. And I was thinking, just come, they may not talk. And the one who was saying that, he said, "Oh my goodness, this could be longer. We need more time." Okay. And what it was is, it's just, I do believe I have an ability to set an atmosphere of just being comfortable and safe. So anyway, one of the guys, he's sharing. I said, "So what did your partner share with you?" And he's standing up and he said, "I told my story about how I didn't really think I had a lot left in me." He said, I've been sober for 4 years, but I've done a lot in my life. But my partner, just summarized back and made it seem like my life wasn't that bad." And as he's talking, his body language changes. Like, his posture changes, and he's standing up straight. And I said, "I'm sorry, sir. Gentlemen, did you just notice what happened?" And the guys were like, "Yes." His body language changed. And he was like, "Man, I didn't even know that." I said, "So do y'all see the power of positivity and being heard and saying, man, you are valuable?" Like, that happened throughout the evening. One gentleman shared with me, he said, "Are you the one in charge of this?" I said, "I am." He said, "I grew up not trusting women. I grew up not trusting my mom, my sister, or even women I dated. And to see you and these other, because there were a few other women there helping a service, to see you and these women here just serving and doing this event for us means a lot. I've never seen this." And so literally, like, event started at 7:30. It was supposed to end at 10:30. I don't think the dudes left until 11:30. And then they were like, "We need more time." And so it goes to power of connection, feeling safe, and you heard me. Like, I am worth something. what? So I love it. I love that these things happen. And I believe in giving homework. So we give things and we follow up. But it's just an opportunity to come together and talk and be vulnerable and walk you through whatever our theme is for the event. And then we come back together and encourage each other and share some stuff and do some praise and worship maybe and dance. And, we're out. But I love it. It's awesome.
That's it sounds amazing. So I can't wait to experience it, and obviously I encourage the people who are listening to and get out there to both cozy convos and candid conversations. And it was funny because before this conversation we had, I was going to ask you, one of my questions was, well, exactly how candid are these conversations? And then I went to tell you my whole sad story. So I don't think I need to ask you that question anymore. I can only imagine that if it's a place men and obviously people can feel safe, and that feels not that I necessarily felt safe in this conversation, but where you feel open and free to be able to express yourself in a good atmosphere, in a comfortable, or whatever the right term there is. So I'm curious, what do you think the most important thing that you've learned from the kind of deep engagement that you have alone with women, and then obviously in that similar space with men? Are there multiple parallels? Can you point to any unique distinctions between your conversations in a group full of exclusively women versus men? And what similarities or parallels? I mean, obviously we're all people and we experience our emotions probably relatively the same way, but I'm just curious if you can point to anything on either side of that in those from your experience.
So you know what? Honestly, there are not really any differences. There really aren't. There are really no differences. So the similarities are, I walk in to an event that I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm a little skeptical. So that's on both sides. Like, man, what is this?
Okay.
And of course, a little bit more, I guess society says a little bit more okay for women to gather. But, for men to come together for something like this where we're going to talk, obviously I need somebody to invite me, or I need to know someone maybe, or just see it. And you come and you're a little like, I don't know what we're doing, but I'm don't stay in this thing. So that's a consensus. I don't know what this is. Another one is, wow, I did not realize I was going to share what I shared. Or another one is, so both men and women deal with self-esteem and self-worth issues. Yes. Another one is, so you feel like you have to wear a mask as well, woman and man. Yes. I'll say one distinction is that even though women wear masks as well as men, what I have learned, and please, as a man, feel free to be like, nope, that is not right.
Okay.
What I have learned is that society doesn't give y'all as much permission to be hurt, to be vulnerable, and to say, I don't know. So because society doesn't really let you be hurt and say, I'm confused, then you hold that in and don't do anything with it except just let it manifest in different ways. And so I think
I would agree with that.
Okay. And so I think the reason candid conversations in different ways was powerful in a different way than for the women is because the conversation took place that these men have never had. Like an authentic conversation with another man that was not surrounding politics, sports, or women. And even if it was surrounding something else, it got really in depth. And I'm sharing stuff about me I've never told anyone. And that happens to me all the time. That happens to me, men and women, but for men and men to have that experience is amazing. And which is why I was excited because as much as we all need each other, I think it's beautiful when y'all, really, really support each other.
Yeah, that's interesting because on the surface, I'm like, I don't know if I'm telling everything to some strange dudes. Like I talk to my brother and my boy, I know them for a long time, but I don't know about a group of strangers of how open I would be. But that's interesting though, that I have a level of skepticism, but but I wonder what that does for people though, because like I said, just hearing you say that, I'm like, I don't know that if men talking to men necessarily, for instance, if you were doctor, whomever, if you were a male and I was having you on the show, I don't think I would have been as candid today. I don't think so. I could be completely wrong. Now, obviously, I know there's tons of men who are going to listen to this, the people who know me very well who are going to listen to this episode. So, and obviously a lot of strangers too, or not strangers. I love all you people who listen, but that's just me though. Like me opening up to in a group of strange men, quote unquote. That's interesting. But so I wonder, and there's really no point to that. I'm just giving my kind of just weighing in from my own, like I said, initial skepticism.
Sure, and you know what? That skepticism is similar to, I'm sure, a good percentage of the guys who came who didn't know me. So people who know me, like, yeah, okay, cool, we know. But if you didn't know me, or even if you did, as some of my champions know me, they were still like, okay, so this is what you need to make sure to do and do and do. And like I said, I was just sitting there like, you know what? Cool, just come experience it.
Right.
And well, men don't open up, and I was like, they will though. They're not gonna say anything. They will. And the thing is, I'm facilitating the beginning conversation. So although you're talking to another man, I'm kind of walking you through the steps. So share your story, cool. Okay, now do this, and I do like an interview commentary after each step. And it makes you even more comfortable. Like, wait a minute, he just shared this, and he just shared this. And even so, I had some friends who came from high school. Like, it was so awesome. Some of my high school friends came.
Okay.
And they had never seen me in the Dr. G light. And even they were like, man, this was good. And even another one, I'm like, okay, he's probably not going to like this because I doubt it. But he was like, you know what? Nope. My partner saw something in me that I didn't even know. That was nice to hear. And I was like, what? You got somebody there? Okay. And it kind of morphed into that. And so even the champions who believe in me, right, they support me. I could still tell there's a little bit of skepticism, like, okay, we support Dr. G, we support your heart, we know what you do, but let us come experience it. And then once it was over, all of them came up to me, oh my gosh, yes, I'm on this journey with you. When is the next one? And so I definitely understand that, because even me, I don't want to go to a group with women and talk. I'm like that too. But then like, oh, okay, this was kind of good. So yeah.
Okay.
And the other awesome thing, both events, I see people connecting. Like I see folks exchanging information and say, man, bro, we need to connect. Or, hey, let's do this. Because I do give homework. I'm like, hey, who can you give permission to check on you? And can you at least check on your partner one time this week? Just shoot them a text like, hey, how you doing today? And it doesn't have to be that. And so there really are not too many differences between the group. Yeah.
Okay. That's not surprising, because as I get older and talk to more people and through this show and engage with people gender is gender, but we are still experiencing mostly the same things. And I've been schooled by a few different women on some of the preconceived ideas I've had, or of how women, are perhaps maybe more emotional, or when it comes to certain things. And I've been told enough, and I can have experienced that, we're all just kind of living out here and dealing with these things, how we deal with these things. So I'm glad that exists. But I'm wondering, so what does that level of engagement do for you? I get that it's helpful to encourage and enrich these other folks' lives, but for you personally, how do you feel once you leave and put on these events? I'm just wondering what that does for your soul.
So I've that's morphed since the beginning. So I would, back in the day, do events and find all the things that were wrong and harp on that. And in doing that, I was dismissing all of the amazing, beautiful, and powerful things that happened by, oh my gosh, we started 10 minutes later than I wanted. And so I did that for a long time. I'm very hard on myself, and I like to be in control, not as much as I used to. So that's how I used to be. So I would dismiss. Just being honest, people would send me long emails about what the event meant to them and all this stuff, and I would read them. It would be awesome, but I wouldn't really reflect and sit in it, because I'd be focused on, but we served food too late. So about a year and a half ago, maybe a year, we had an event, and the next day I woke up and I just sat in being thankful. And that was the first time in probably 10 plus years of hosting various events where I didn't wake up and want to nitpick the stuff. And that was huge for me. And even more than that, when there are events like this, because it does take a lot out of me, because I'm really intentional. Like I use a phrase that just says rock with me, because if I'm feeling the energy, if I feel like the Holy Spirit's leading me in a different way, I'll change things up. I'll ask for a song, praise and worship to happen in the middle. Like I just kind of rock with it. And I do believe I have been attacked by the enemy. I do, because my thoughts would be really, really negative after a couple of events. And, for me, because they are faith-based, that is, the enemy's not happy. Like, I don't like that you're doing this and people are loving each other. I don't like this. And so I do believe that I have been kind of attacked by the enemy before. And from learning that, I do have a group of people who pray for me. So before I do any event or various speaking engagements, I do reach out. I'm like, hey, y'all, I got this coming up. Can you please check on me the day after and even the day after that, because I want to make sure that I'm good. And so now I make sure after we do some of these larger events that I at least take a couple days off where I don't have a lot to do, because I need to just kind of be replenished, because it's a lot that happens. And what it does for me is I look at the awesome gifts that I've been given. And I used to take it for granted, because I'm like, yeah, everybody can. They were like, no, everybody can't do this. A girlfriend of mine was over my house yesterday, and she said, you're the only person I know who, like, people have breakthroughs and they break free like this. No. Next to that, like Ayanla on TV, she said, no.
Right.
She said, no, people don't have that kind of gift. And recognizing it, and then wanting to use it only for good, right? Like wanting to make sure that I'm being intentional with it, and not just, okay, well, we're going to do this event, but I just continue to recognize how much we need that connection. And it comes from a place of me needing that as well years ago. Like, I'm like, I bet others could relate to this feeling and this and this. Okay, well, that was right. So let's go. So it does, I don't necessarily know what it does for me per se, but I am thankful that I get the opportunity to do it. I love the connections that are made there. I love the connections that I get to make there. And that, I mean, it's awesome. Like, it really is. Like, I'm like, I get to do this. What?
Right. Thank you for explaining that. I just, because I would just imagine that, like, when I do this show, we cover various topics, and, the idea that, we're reaching people and offering some level of escape, also entertainment, some education, some, when people tell me, they learn something on these episodes, I'm like, that I feel some type of way, and so I'm just projecting onto you that, there's something that moves you. And I'm always trying to wonder if something's rooted in something deeper, but no, I hear you though. But I'm glad that what you do exists, especially for people of color specifically. But, again, as you mentioned, it's certainly not limited to that. But same thing with this show. I mean, we are intentional that, we want to serve the needs of the people of color, and make sure that we recognize that, our struggle out here, and that we highlight that. So with that being said, what do you think are some of the largest issues, and this maybe we cover this a little bit with self-care, but the largest issues that require maybe the most attention for people of color, as far as, for their emotional and spiritual well-being and growth? And then I guess generally, what do you think are the most important things that people should be focusing on for that emotional and spiritual growth and or connection?
Oh, good question. That there is enough to go around for everybody. And what I mean by that is there seems to be a lot of conflict and competition and hating on each other. And I don't know if it's mainly, of course, for women, but and not healthy competition, but just to realize whatever gifts are your gifts, you will have room for them. That phrase, your gifts will make room for you, and that connects to celebrating each other I've been guilty of being like, hold up, why didn't she invite me to do that? Wait a minute. Let them be great without you. Let them be great. They don't have to call you to be at that event. Let them be great. And one thing, I don't think we celebrate each other enough. I don't think we support each other, like authentic support, because we're so walking around like trying to be everything to everybody all the time, because we're supposed to be, and not breathing, connected to that self-care and saying, it's okay not to be okay. Like, it really is okay not to be okay. It's okay to make a mistake sometimes. It's okay to say, I don't know. And so I know it's kind of an answer in a circle, but I really, really feel like it's that authentic support, realizing that you are enough. Like, I feel like we try to overcompensate for deficiencies, and understanding you're enough in who you are right now. No amount of money is going to change how awesome you are. No relationship is going to do that. No degrees. You are enough. And when we put so much when we put so much weight on stuff to make us happy, what happens is I continue chasing stuff. And I wish, especially for those who are believers, that we would stop chasing stuff and just chase Jesus and realize that he is enough, because he says you're enough and he chose you. So as a professor, my students obviously always like, I can't wait to graduate. And I'm like, okay, cool. So you graduate, you celebrate that for about a day. And then what now? Well, you want a job. Oh, Lord, I'm anxious. I want a job. Okay, now you get that job. You enjoy your job for a minute. Now what? Oh, I don't like this job. Or I need a promotion. So the thing is, things do not make us happy.
Right.
And we miss the beauty, and I've missed the beauty of today. Focus so much on tomorrow. Like, I want to get this thing done, instead of, you know what? Let me just focus on the fact that I get to do this right now. And so all that to say, just kind of enjoying the end result, but also enjoying the journey, supporting each other, saying when you've made a mistake, saying, I don't know, praying, and then being still. Like, sit down, girl, you don't have to. And then saying it's okay to hurt. Saying it's okay. Like, you're hurt. I had a student who said, actually, my dad passed away a year ago. I should be over it, right? What? Who said that? And I hear that statements like that all the time.
Right.
So I hope you can get things from that. I know that was a circle answer, but
no, I mean, that's good. I mean, I think the last thing you said specifically, I mean, there's certainly, I think that's relevant to this whole conversation. There is no timetable for grief or for dealing with things or tragedy or loss. I mean, there's necessarily no timetable. And I think a lot of what you mentioned there is good to help be a whole person and to feel better and not feel better, but well, I guess that is to feel better, because that was part of the question, though, to have that, emotional and spiritual growth. So no, great answer. And we can wrap here in a minute, because there's a couple things we didn't even get to, but I don't want to go too long. But let's go full circle and bring it back to self-care, because I don't know that I even fully fleshed that out, but talking about emotional and spiritual growth and the honesty and acceptance and not chasing these things. So adding the self-care things, some of those tenets, they seemed relatively simple, but that application may not be as simple. So let's get on that, and then we'll get you out of here. Because I want to get on the guy at the gas station, asking you for money. Because that's a whole nother conversation that we need, we want to get into. So we'll save that for our next conversation. But yeah, let's finish fleshing out this self-care thing and go from there.
Okay, so Brene Brown is Dr. Brene Brown is a social work professor at the University of Houston. She has been on Oprah. She
Go Cougars.
New York Times.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, wait, is that where you? Yeah, you went there. No, claim it. Yeah. My mom went to U of H.
Because I meant to, because when you mentioned the soda earlier, I should have shouted out these Eagles, but because dominating out there. But go ahead. So yeah, so back to self-care, right?
I know. Go DeSoto. That school is a little different from when we were there, but that's okay. It's still awesome.
A little different, but yeah, That's the understatement of the year. But go ahead.
A little. So anyway, so on a show she was on with Oprah, she asked a question, and even though the audience was mostly like mental health professionals, I think this still applies. She said, "Okay, how many of you like to help others?" Obviously, everybody raises their hand. Boom. Next question was, how many of you find it easy to ask for help? Like 20% of the hands went up. And she said what she realized, so this next statement was an aha moment for me. And this connects to self-care. She said what she realized was that because she had difficulty asking people for help because she was afraid of maybe them judging her, that she was not able to help her clients without judging them.
Ooh, I like that. That's interesting.
Right.
I like that.
And even Oprah said, say that again. And basically she said she was not able to fully help her clients without judging them because she felt some type of self-judgment with asking for help.
Right.
And for me, like I said, that was an aha moment. I was like, oh my gosh, that's real. Because that was me. I was queen of, I helped everybody, but I didn't ask for help. What? No, I don't ask for help. And so part of self-care is being able to ask for help. It doesn't have to be easy, but knowing that it's okay to ask for help and receive the help. So sometimes I may not ask, but somebody will know, hey, do you want me to go grab you some lunch? Or, hey, do you need an extra hour for this? You know what I do. Or I had a grad student who said, you didn't seem like yourself today. I almost lied. I said, you know what? I had a kind of rough weekend, but it's okay not to be okay. Self-care is being honest about how you feel. And it doesn't mean wallowing in it. It's not that. So you know what? This weekend wasn't that great, but it's okay not to be okay. I know who's on the throne, and I'll be okay later. But right now I'm not, and that's okay. So self-care is being able to ask for help. But even before all of that, it's believing that it's important. So I can give you tips all day long, but if you do not believe caring for self is valuable, it doesn't matter if you do it every day, because you might sit down and get your nails done, but your mind is going to be on work. So like I said, I can slow my body down, but there are a lot of people who cannot go to sleep for hours because their mind is on so many things and their mind is rushing. And so self-care starts with, do you believe it's important? I mean, even the Lord took the seventh day off, and even, there are biblical examples of the importance of self-care. And for my folks who are like, but I feel selfish, as some women told me this week, and I feel selfish, I said, well, do you believe that the people you work with, whether clients or your children, do you believe they deserve the best of you?
Right.
Like, do they deserve the best of you? And people always say yes. How are you going to give them the best of you if you are operating on fumes? Tell me how that works. Oh, but I feel, well, no. It's not about you feeling guilty. Do they deserve the best you? So the best you is somebody who's had sleep. The best you is somebody who's been able to eat a healthy meal. And so it does start with, do you believe that it's important? And then once you believe it's important, then doing the things is not that hard. But it will be uncomfortable in the beginning because you're not used to it. Like, it's working any muscle for those who lift weights and stuff. It's, oh, Lord, that hurts. But once you work it a little bit, you may still be sore, but it won't be as bad. And so I'll give a couple of the self-care tips. So one is obviously breathing throughout the day, taking that moment. You said 4-2-8, and just taking that moment to breathe and or pray. Scheduling time for boundaries. So you know what? I am not going to check work email before 10 a.m. I'm not going to check it after 10 p.m. Another self-care boundary would be sleeping with my cell phone in another room, because I don't need my phone to be the last thing I see and the first thing I see. Well, people say, well, that's my alarm. Go buy an alarm clock. I actually did that. Like, I didn't even know they still made alarm clocks, but I was like, I don't need my phone in my room, because why am I waking up checking email? Or why am I waking up and looking at Facebook? So I've slept with my phone in my kitchen, and it was freeing and necessary, because I got to lie in my bed and just say, good morning, Jesus, to say a quick prayer. And so those are some practical ones. Some others are, if you're going to go on a vacation, leave the work at work. Why spend all that money if you're going to be working on vacation?
Right.
Don't do that. So there are staycations and go to Spa Castle and stuff like that. But it starts with, do you believe it's important? Because if you believe it's important, you'll do it. And if you don't believe it's important, should it be important? Okay, if it should, we can get to the isn't important, and then everything else will fall as it will. But it's got to be that, what are you connected to? Because you're not Superman, you're not the Lord, so when you think you have to do everything for everyone all the time, you just put yourself on a pedestal. You need to get yourself off. A friend of mine said, a friend told her, your friends don't need Jesus because they have you. And that was me for many years. Like, that was me. Nope, I don't want that life. I'm good. So there's some other practical tips. Of course, I can refer folks to the website and things, but honestly, it does start with, do you need it? Is it important? Do you deserve it? And then take it. And go to lunch. Stop working through lunch. Go to lunch. The work is going to be there. And even if you don't eat for the full hour, leave your desk. Get up. Go sit in your car. Go walk around the building. Get up. The work is going to be there. We think that I got to work through lunch. You work through lunch, you still have work to do. But now you're hungry.
Right. You're hungry and you didn't get to enjoy, because I would say, like, just enjoy it. So yeah, you work through lunch, you don't rush, like, get up, walk away, go get that food, like, enjoy those moments, right? Enjoy what you have in the time that you have the ability to enjoy it. Enjoy those moments. So take that time, enjoy the stillness, enjoy the silence, enjoy that piece of food as it, touches your lips. I mean, that's what I say. I'm trying to, and this is way before the demise of my great relationship. No, but just trying to live in a free and just more peaceful existence inside my own self. If that doesn't sound too new agey or whatever. So.
No, that makes sense. Makes sense. And to add on to your encouragement, sit and enjoy the food. And here's the thing, you may not enjoy it because you don't often do this, but even if you don't, still do it. Because at some point, hopefully you will. Like, for folks who don't take lunch, taking lunch will probably feel really uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to do this, but you should. So work that muscle that you have not worked, but you still need to do. I had a friend years ago who I thought she was so weird because she took her lunch break every day. What? I thought something was wrong with her. I'm like, you go to lunch every day? Who does that? I thought that was weird. Like, that's how in a not self-care place I was. I thought she was weird because she took lunch every day.
Yeah, that yeah, you might be a little off there. No judgment, but you might be a little off there.
No,
right.
You can judge. It was. I thought she was the crazy one. Like, and you take your breaks? What? Who does that? What? No, I was so consumed by work and everything. So it starts with, should you breathe? Start small, rest, but then be consistent with it. And it will take time, right? Like, so give it time. If it's not natural, that's okay. But be consistent with it, with anything.
Right. And speaking of time, I think we have taken up a good amount of time for this. But time flew literally for me, and I really...
It sure did. Wow.
But I really enjoyed this. I don't know what I will edit this hour and 51, 48, 50 down to, but probably not much, though, because I think the content, and I guess more so the context of everything, I think it was all there. I really appreciate you coming on, you providing a space for me to open up, and then also, but what you've done with Cozy Convos and Candid Conversations, and what you do through your work and your teaching. So thank you for being out there for folks. And with that being said, how can people get a hold of you and stay in touch with you so they can get more of these Dr. G teachings and good sayings, and hopefully benefit from what you have going on?
Yeah, awesome. But first, thank you so much for having me on and being open to this conversation going the way it went. Like, that's awesome. Like, that's a testament to you as a host, because you're like, no, let's let this flow. And Yes. So obviously none of this was planned, but it was great.
Right.
Yes, I appreciate that. And as far as how to get in contact, so social media wise, so Instagram and Twitter is Dr. G Speaks, and Facebook as well. It'll say Kristen Guillory, but Dr. G Speaks as well. So Dr. G Speaks, all the Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. My website is KristenGuillory.com, KristenGuillory.com. And we post the events that we have coming up on there, as well as have probably 20 to 30 blogs and articles that are, I think they're pretty good and useful, that range from the breakup tips to how to support a friend through loss, to it's okay not to be okay. I wrote about my journey. This will have to be for another time, but my journey of actually quitting my professor job 2 years ago. So I have a blog where I wrote about that, and just a lot of different things where I share just stuff like that. And so that's on there, as well as just links to the events that we host. And so mentioned earlier, Candid Conversations for Men. The next one will be January 28th, downtown Dallas. And you can get that information on the social media pages. And our final Cozy Convos of the year will be on Friday, December 30th. We are doing an event, one of our signature talk events / party. You know, I feel like the year has been kind of heavy for a lot of people, so we want to end it with a bang. So a little lip sync battle, some line dances, some games and stuff like that. So that'll be December 30th downtown. And again, all this stuff will be listed on social media. And then, and I do have a dating challenge workbook that is for sale, or you can actually do it for free. So that's on my website as well. So if you're anybody who is dating or you're thinking about dating, they are 16 questions that I ask you just to kind of, for self-reflection, if you're thinking about or currently dating, that I have out there to offer. So, yeah, there we go.
Awesome. Okay, great. I will definitely be checking out some of those resources, and we'll put those links to everything in the show notes for the show, and we'll have all this, and we'll do our best to promote these things on our social media as well as they come up. Definitely going to have you back on because there's so much more to talk about, and I think the show might maybe take a more interactive turn at some point here coming up soon, and engage with our audience and listeners. So perhaps there's a space for you. Maybe take some questions. What a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your insight. So one last thing from you for the show. If you could identify yourself, say whatever you want about yourself, and say that you're a part of the vocal minority, and then we'll keep that and play that in perpetuity so we can prove that we had some very interesting and wonderful people on the show. Then that's all I got for you.
Okay. So, hey, this is Dr. Kristen Guillory, better known as Dr. G, aunt, professor, speaker, child of God, and I am a part of the vocal minority.
Beautiful.
I didn't say report.
Well, you know what? Minority was, I appreciate that. Minority is good. Yeah, but I thank you, because we have to differentiate, because there's another show, there's a Canadian soccer show that is called The Vocal Minority, in some odd twist that sometimes people find when they're trying to look for us. But we're good though. But no, The Vocal Minority Report, was happy to have you on. So thanks so much. Hey, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that episode. I had no idea it would go that deep or that intimate. Certainly did not mean to open up, but I am not sure how I feel after having lived that and listened to it a few times now, but I hope that you all got something out of it. And I believe that, I know that having Kristen or Dr. G on was extremely helpful, and a lot of things that she shared and was able to articulate regarding self-care and how to deal with grief and healing and being heard. I feel like those messages were pretty powerful. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Make sure you use the hashtag #TheVocalMinorityReport on Twitter, Facebook. Follow us, like the page at Vocal Report on Twitter. The Facebook page is The Vocal Minority Report. Make sure you subscribe. That's really important, especially if you're a new listener. Subscribe. That way you can catch every new show. We're rolling here. We've got some great shows coming up. We've got a congressman coming on. We've got some DARs coming on. We've got some good stuff happening. We're really growing, and it's all because of you all, really. It's so much thanks to everyone who listens to the show everywhere. Thanks to everyone who's downloaded, everyone who's bought a shirt, everyone who supports the show. Thank you so much. Can't thank you enough. Make sure you go to audibletrial.com/vocal report. We talked a lot about stillness and breathing, and so I think it's right to mention one of my favorite books now that I actually got on Audible using one of these free promos, and it's Success Through Stillness by Russell Simmons. It's a really great book. It breaks the stigma and the fuzzy new aginess on meditation, and just stresses the importance of breathing and appreciating. And obviously he's a very successful person. You know, we had Rebecca Lavoie of Crime Writers on our show, and she talked about Russell Simmons and what Puffy actually said about him and what that meant to her. And so you should check out that episode too. It's episode 35. It's the second time we had Rebecca on. But go check out the book, though. It's available on Audible. We've also had on New York Times bestsellers. Their books are available. Rabia Chowdhury with Adnan Story, D. Watkins with The Cook-Up and his other works there. So check them out. Support the show, audible.com/vocal report. Free audiobook download and 30-day trial. Go to the website, thevocalminorityreport.com. Take our quick anonymous survey. It's under Contribute. You can check out a couple of our partners there. You can also go to the store and buy a shirt. We're going to add some new styles. We need new colors, new options. If you see something you like there and you like the style, but you don't like the color you see, or you want to change the options, go ahead and go through it, and you can just put a note in there and let us know. I know that the person who does the t-shirts real well. Shout out to Cutesy Custom Kids. And so we can get anything done for you, but we'll update the store here. Just been really crazy busy. We've got more President-elect Trump #Orange Hitler shows coming, and then we'll just keep doing what we're doing. So special thanks to everybody who helps out with the show, again, who listens to the show. We'll talk to you next episode. Peace.
This has been a Vocal Neighbors production.